Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your weekly general tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these readings are general overviews for the energies, trends, themes that we're going to experience over the week ahead. Sometimes it's a motivational message. I always delve into this with an intuitive message before I get into the cards, and then I pull cards to see what else comes up. So check these out if you want kind of like a general overview. Sometimes world events show up here. Sometimes it's more on a microcosmic level. It just depends how it's going to speak to all of us week by week. I enjoy doing these, and I'm actually really surprised at how well they've done over the years, because when I put this together I wasn't really sure how people would take it. I kept noticing little things in the weeklies and I thought, you know what, let's just do something as a general overview. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So when I went into my intuition this week, what I actually saw was lots of different strands of leather, and they were, you know, held together in the middle in a circle like this, and they were being woven and plaited. And you know, obviously when you do certain layers, eventually it becomes like a crisscross sort of lattice, and then when they started to form, they started to swirl into like a spiral, and then as they came downward, what I could see was that what I was watching was somebody create a working tool. In the center was an obsidian egg. Now I could talk about the symbolism of that on its own forever. There are so many things that I could say about that, but let's just say this is a week of pure potential in some way, shape or form, which is very interesting because at the end of this week we are heading towards that new moon in the sign of Virgo. So really interesting. But yeah, the obsidian egg. So eggs in general represent new life, fertility, but it's also, when you think about zero, it's the cosmic energy, and it is the cosmic womb, right? Those of you that are on my tarot course will be speaking about this ad nauseum, so you'll be getting used to that. And then the symbol of the black egg is basically pure potential that is unconscious. It's not yet given shape or form. Now these leather strands that I saw, this was painstaking work. It was something that somebody was obviously taking a lot of time, a lot of care, a lot of attention over. And then I saw somebody sharpening an axe, and it was like there were just all these different scenes of people preparing different things that they work with. And the leather and the egg were for a staff, a working tool or wand, if you like, that somebody was preparing. And the message that I've got here is it's time to sharpen your tools and what instincts are dulled, right? So is it your intellect? Is it your knowledge? Is it your physical body? Is it your intuition? Which aspect of yourself, which of your tools needs to be attended to, right? We clean our bikes, we look after our cars, we tune the engine, we do all of these things to the stuff that we own. Very often people forget that they need to hone their skills, right? Whether this is your intellect, whether it's your spiritual sight, whatever it is for you, like whatever tools need to be sharpened, cleaned, refreshed, brightened in some way, shape or form, this is the week to do it. This is the week to do all of that prep work so that when that new moon hits, you can kind of pay attention to what comes up and what it is that you may need to pick up at that moment in time. Now, that being said, the Virgo new moon specifically, best time of year to do any form of detox or cleansing work. So if you're planning to do a fast, a cleansing ritual, anything of that nature, anything where you are making something hallowed in terms of cleanliness or detoxification, this is the most powerful new moon of the year to do it. So the way that I like to do this is the day before, the day of and the day after, I will either fast or I will do some sort of a cleansing ritual, or sometimes I will just go through observance, and I'll say to myself, what thoughts do I need to let go of? It's not every year that I do something, but it's a really good time to do any of that kind of work. Now, that being said, I've given you a little taster of what it might be like to be tutored or taught underneath me. If you are interested in taking my tarot course, it looks like there may very well be spaces left. The email to reach me is in the description box below. There are going to be 16 weeks of classes, which is 36 hours in total that you'll be spending with little old me and some awesome people that are also taking the course. There's going to be resources that you will get to keep, things that I use on the course as visual aids that you'll get to keep. You'll get 7 bonus videos on top of that. You'll get 7 PDFs. In fact, I actually think it's more at last count. It's more than 7 PDFs. And obviously you will get to see me work. You'll get to see me sing for my supper, as I like to say. So you'll be observing me doing a reading. So there's a live client demonstration. Then you will practice on each other, and then you will go on to practice with live clients. So you have everything that you need to go from a beginner up to probably about an intermediate level reader, providing you put that work in, right? So all I can do is show you the path and give you all of the material and as much support as I possibly can. I will be on hand for that entire 16 weeks for you, but you have to do the learning, you have to do the heavy lifting, and you have to see it through. If you are interested in spending that time with me and a bunch of awesome people, you can do so. Send me an email on the link in the description box, and you can reach me and we will talk about it. I'll send you more details. The first class will go live on the 5th of September. So if you want to get studious in Virgo season, you can start your path towards becoming what I no doubt believe all of you have the potential to be, amazing tarot readers. It would be lovely to have you. Remember, spaces are limited. There's only 20, and this I'm opening up here just because I'm sure there's going to be a few spaces left over. So if you want to get in, hit the link in the description. Now, with that said, I've waffled on at you enough, I know. For your, or should I say our, destiny card for the week, I'm switching it up a little this week. I'm going to give you a Human Design Oracle deck card. Stay tuned, because I'll be using this deck on a very special video that's coming up soon. So we've got the Gate 64 and Confusion, right? So maybe, just maybe, some of you are a little confused. Which is the gift that needs to be sharpened? Which of my tools, which of my, which aspects of myself may need to be, sharpened or honed or cleaned or, polished in some way, shape or form. Now, the funny thing about this card and the Gate 64, it's the confusion that sets in when you listen to too many people. This is about centering the self, refocusing the self, bringing it in here, rather than looking outside. Bringing the focus in. So the destiny of this week, there is going to be confusion, and it's really funny that this comes up because I know that this kind of energy hits at the end of the week that I am putting this video out. So it's really interesting how this mirrors the astrology in a lot of ways. So if there is a little bit of a murky start to the week, remember, stop looking out there, bring your focus back in, because it's in here, and in here that you're going to find what it is that you're truly looking for. So that destiny card is basically saying the confusion that you feel comes from trying to adapt or take on stuff that isn't actually really meant for you, that is not going to help you in the way that you like. So for your direction cards, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So this could have a lot to do with our work or our careers in some way, shape or form. We've got the Ace of Cups. This is beautiful. So the heart wanting what it wants, right? And then the Judgment card. So the way that this could play out for some people, this could literally be a return to work that you love. That's quite telling actually for me, because I loved teaching. My first ever tarot course I put on this year, and I have to say, I absolutely loved it. I learned so much about myself, about students, about being a teacher, things that I just hadn't considered. And I have to say, my heart will always be with my first batch of students, because they taught me to be a teacher, and they trusted me on that journey, and we had so much fun together. So with the Eight of Pentacles and that confusion card, so the people that you work with, work alongside or collaborate with, this week, if you're finding there's agitation in the workplace, it's probably because you're putting too much faith or onus on those outside of you, which suggests that maybe this week you're having to take the lead in some regard. Maybe this week anybody needs to take the reins and nobody else seems to do it, and that leaves you kind of thinking, okay, well, nobody else is going to do it, and I'm going to give it a moment. If nobody else speaks up, then I will do it. Then you've got the Ace of Cups in the center of this, right? And this not only represents the heart, but it also represents well, yes, it's good news and the work front, but it's also the energy of ease, opening up when it comes to your work, when it comes to your profession. And then with the Judgment card, I very often see, yes, it's a huge card of change, but I very often see this when there is a blast from the past in some way, shape or form. Now, the fact that we've got this here, I believe that in some way this week, the direction energy, how we best use this, is basically saying to us, returning to what you love, returning to what you know, sharpening the tools to do that job. This week is going to be imperative. In some way, shape or form, you got to dust off those skills, whether this is, whatever that skill might be, whatever those tools might be. This week, you've really got to sharpen them and clean them up in some way. And then finally, with that Judgment card, on top of the Ace of Cups, I think, because I know here in the UK, furlough ends in September, so it's going to be a very interesting time. But I think that this is actually a lot of people either returning to work or keeping their jobs when they didn't expect to. And I think this could be really, really great. All right, so for the insight cards, what is coming in, what is going on behind the scenes that we may need to be aware of or might not be seeing. And this week we have the Five of Cups. All right, so there is something that we're losing this week, something that we're going to have to acknowledge is going away or being released. We got the Ten of Swords. Whew, okay, and we've got the Magician card, right? So those three, that triplet, I'm really sorry to say this, and I truly hope that I'm wrong on this front. That is a well-known person, a guru, a celebrity, possibly a monarch, anybody that we sort of as a societal group look up to and revere. We could be losing someone this week, someone that means a lot to a lot of people, somebody that has a following, somebody that has I was going to say a cult then, and I don't mean that at all, but like a celebrity, or maybe a really well-known coach. Or the reason I say this is the Witch card, or in this deck it's the Witch, but the Magician card very often represents someone at the height of their game. We've got the Ten of Swords and the Five of Cups. These are both cards of loss, endings, and sometimes very harsh endings at that. I'm getting echoes, and I truly hope that I'm wrong on this. This is one of the things that people really misunderstand about me and the way that I work. I never relish predicting death or hard things. However, the way that I was taught from young when it comes to reading cards, anything really, you speak what you see. You have to talk about the difficult stuff. Why? Because life is a spectrum of light and dark. It's not one or the other. And as long as you can understand that, it's really, really important. If you're going to be taking my course, you will learn this. I will push you to speak on those things. I will challenge you to challenge yourself so that you are a better and more proficient version of yourself and a more proficient reader for it, right? So this week, as an insight on the wider world stage, I do wonder. Now, because it's the Magician card, and I've talked a lot here about work and those kinds of sectors, it could be a politician, very possible, but it could just as easily be the head of a very big company. And again, like I said, I really hope I'm wrong on this. Now, that's the macrocosm. On the microcosmic level, this is about us letting go of or releasing some old avenue or skill that we know we're not going to utilize anymore. So whatever it is that you're brushing back up, for some of you that are changing industries or returning to old industries, there's a realization this week that there is something that you have to let go of in order to make this happen, in order to go in this way. So it's kind of like one of those moments. This week, if you feel like you're on the precipice of something big, if you feel like you're waiting for a train and you don't get on it this week, you're going to have missed the train. And I rarely say this because I'm not very fatalistic, but I have to say, this does suggest to me that that drive that you have in you to do something, or it's, you know, you might not get another chance. There is a reason for that, right? You're sensing something that's happening on the wider world stage or in the cosmic energy. So tap into that. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. I look forward to hearing you guys in the comments and also possibly seeing some of you on my course. Take care, and I'll see you soon.